All right. You see this right here? Yeah. This is the top. Yeah. You see my lap?
Yeah.
I put it on there. Yeah. Laptop.
It's different being a student athlete now than it was 10 years ago. It's different being a student athlete than it was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It's different now. It's always changing. Whether it be from the NCAA Eligibility Center and the requirements they have, whether it be the SATs that you need or ACTs that you need, whether it be just the transfer portal and how does that look as far as being a student athlete. There are a lot of things that are different as far as now being a student athlete than it was in the past. But today I'm going to give you 5. I'm going to give you 6. I'm going to give you 6 things, nonverbal rules that you need to incorporate on your student athlete journey if you haven't done so already. Because if you are still operating on the old mindset or rules of how this is supposed to look as being a student athlete, you're working a lot harder than what you need to be working. And today I'm going to give you 6 rules that I want you to add to your game.
Hoop loud.
Yes, indeed, Big Brother Bel here to give you all that you want and what you need. And before we get into the 6 rules that we need to add to your game, let me go ahead and say this. I put out information every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today is Wednesday. We're going to get this video up today on time to help you be the best you can be as far as being a student athlete, whether it be in your sport or whether it be on campus or whether it be leading up to going to college or whether you're already in college. I give you so much information as it relates to things that I'm going through that I've learned the hard way, or some of the learned lessons that some other people have gone through. If you're not seeing some of my interview series, make sure you check that out. But without further ado, the first thing I want to talk about mental health. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes student athletes get treated like livestock. They're looked at as like, well, you've been provided these things, do what you're supposed to do, and be quiet, you don't have any feelings. And if you look at how some people talk to student athletes, it's dramatically different. Take a person that just is not a student athlete, just goes to biology class and comes back to the dorm room, and compare that to a student athlete. If a coach talks to that person that went to biology and came back to the room as not a student athlete, the same way that he or she talks to a student athlete, it'd be a problem. You know it'd be a problem. That person that's being talked to that way would just be, they wouldn't know how to handle themselves. They wouldn't know how to handle themselves. It would be a whole issue. And that's not even a problem that I have, because I think that's kind of like the nature of it. Much like if you were going out for the Marines, if you were going in the Army and you were going through basic training, I'm sure they're not massaging your shoulders, giving you lattes saying, hey, you think about doing one more pull-up? Let's see if we can get that mile time down to 30 seconds less. Let's do that. Let's. I'm sure they're not talking sweet to them. I get that. I think that's just a part of being a student athlete. The coaches have to press different buttons to get you to raise your level of standard of what you said you were about and what you're actually performing. I understand that. But when I talk about mental health, I'm talking about like real trauma. Trauma. You know, right now, the world is still unpacking what they've seen on social media, whether it be video format or whether it be through the news of George Floyd getting his life taken from him. That situation is catastrophic, to say the least. But aside from that, and not to belittle that or diminish that at all, but aside from that, what if I told you that you have teammates, if you're a coach, you have ball players that have seen something like this in their own communities, whether it be from the hands of a police officer or whether it be from someone who just lives in their neighborhood. Violence from that, seeing that someone has died. Whether it be they saw them die because of gunfire, they saw them die because of a car accident. Trauma ensues after that. You know, we like to think that when you go to college that, you know, everything is stagnant, everything is static, everything's going to be the same. You just go to college, you graduate, make your family proud, boom, 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 just like that, sets up. But when you go to college, at least I've realized that things happen. Parents might get a divorce. In my case, parents, both of them pass away of cancer. Some people may lose their house. Some people may lose a loved one. Some people may get sick. All those things, and those things can bring about a sense of trauma, a sense of mental health that needs to be looked after or needs to be addressed. And my fear is this. Student athletes especially have this mentality that acknowledging that these things are bothering you makes you weak, makes you less than, makes you not as a beast, not as strong, not as all that stuff. And that's just a lie. It's a lie. And I would even add on to this. There's some people, depending upon whatever communities you're coming from, some individuals from different communities, they look at counseling like that's for crazy folks. That's also a lie. On your universities, you have counseling resources. I beg of you to utilize those resources. I'm not a man of very many regrets. But if I do have one regret, I will say this. I regret, after my mom and dad passed away of cancer when I was in college, I wish that I would have seen a counselor. Without a doubt. Not even a question. I have severed so many relationships, ruined opportunities, because I didn't get the work done. I've had relationships, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know I was still battling some of the things that I had gone through trauma-wise as far as my parents passing away of cancer. And that's not to blame it on anyone. That's just, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. But if you're from a community that has shunned that all your life, then you think that, I shouldn't go out there and get these resources. A lot of these universities have these resources for free. You have these things already at your availability, and I want to make sure that you utilize them. But before I let you go and end this about counseling, let me also debunk something. Of course, you're not crazy by using it, but let me tell you how counseling works. I'm giving you the Reader's Digest, so don't get too mad if you're a counselor watching this. Like, he ain't even describing us right. Counseling is nothing more than a licensed professional being an unbiased licensed professional, being able to help you unpack some of the issues that you may be dealing with in a safe way that you can dispose of it, move past it, and move on with the rest of your life. These things happen to us when you see another man die in front of you at 8 years old, at 12 years old. Shoot, you could be 40 years old, and you see some stuff like this happening. That evokes a lot of things inside of you that needs to be dumped out. Period. You're not less of a man, you're not less of a woman to acknowledge that and to address that. And I would encourage you to make sure you take that seriously. I would encourage you not to wait. I would encourage you not to have some type of macho mentality of, real men don't need counseling, because that's bullcrap. That's stupid talk, okay? That's stupid talk. Number 2, the second rule that I would add to this is playing while you're injured. And keep in mind, I said injured, not hurt, right? A lot of people like to play, a lot of people like to add a lot of hype to this whole notion of I played through injury when they win, right? Because when they win, then they, it sounds good, it adds to the story. But when they lose, normally people don't say anything about it because it makes it seem like you're making excuses. But what I'm telling you is this. The new rule about being a student athlete, and these two things, and keep in mind there's a difference. There's injured. When you're injured, you should never play. Never. When you're hurt, you might still play. Because when you're hurt, listen, when you're a student athlete, you're always going to be sore. Your body's not going to feel brand new out there. It's just not. You're going to go through some soreness. You're going to go through some minor, being uncomfortable. But that's dramatically different than being injured. When you're injured, you need to take care of that. When you're injured, you got to be taking care of that. When you're hurt, you can still play, or you may not feel comfortable playing. That's fine as well. This rule that we're implementing is for you to be in the driver's seat, for you not to feel like you have to cave under the pressure because everybody else is doing this, right? You hear all these heroic stories about Michael Jordan playing with the flu. That's Jordan. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Or this player did this and he had a headache or he had a contusion. Listen, all that sounds good. But at the end of the day, you're going to have your body longer than you're going to have your eligibility. And you just make smart decisions. Because all these people that's rooting you on to go out there and play injured or play hurt will not be the people that you're going to know in 4 years or 5 years after your eligibility has elapsed. You think you will, but you will not. Right? You got to go out there with the mindset of you have to be selfish from that standpoint. You have to make sure that your body's taken care of because you only get one. And is your biggest asset as far as being a student athlete other than your brain as far as classes are concerned. It's your body. Once your body is no longer able to perform these doggone functions on the basketball court, on the football field, on the baseball diamond, whatever, then a lot of these jokers you think are your friends or your father figures or your mother figures will not know your name. And that's the same thing with your body, and the same thing with you actually taking care of your stuff in the classroom with your brain. So these are assets for you. You need to protect these assets, all right? We need to protect these because if you don't, then you won't have anything to bring to the table. Number 3, another new rule that I want to make sure that you're aware of that is different is being a team player in the season. In the season, okay? Did I say in the season? Don't be selfish. In the season, you think your tunnel vision is just about the team. That's all that's important. But after the season, you need to look and see if this benefits you. All right? Now, I'm not a person that believes that transfer is the end-all, be-all. But let's be clear. It's on the table, okay? It's on the menu, like I like to say, okay? Don't act like don't feel like you're less of a teammate. You know, because when I was a student athlete, they like to manipulate you with these heavy-hitting words like trust and loyalty and we're like family and all this other stuff, right? They love saying that stuff. But it was so funny to me how they didn't use that same type of language when it was time for a coach to transfer. When a coach was transferring, it was like, oh, well, he did what was good for his family. I thought we was family. I thought it was about us. What about us? What about us, Craig? It was none of that. It was always a hard divide. A coach can go and look at other opportunities, but a player is disloyal when they did that. And here's the new rule for you. That's bull crap. And you need to make sure you have your eyes wide open as it relates to this process. Now, again, transfer isn't the end-all, be-all. I'm not trying to tell you that if you're unhappy, transfer. No, that's a loser mentality because there's so many different moving parts. You got to make sure you have the right fit. Make sure they have your major. Make sure it's a lot of things. We can get into that in a different video. But like I said, it's not the only transfer is not the remedy. But it's on the menu, much like these coaches. I've been in a situation where a coach has recruited me to get to a doggone campus. I get to the campus, this joker's already off on the next thing, smoking to the next university. You see this mess happen all the time. So if coaches can leave, and dig this, here's the thing. Put this into perspective. Coaches coach anywhere from 10, 20, 30, and 40 years. 4 decades these jokers are coaching. How many years of eligibility do you get? Definitely don't get 40. Sometimes you get 5 to play 4, and that's it. Those are precious years. Those are precious years, and once they're gone, they're gone. So if you want to entertain transferring after the season, here's the thing. Note the word after, because if you want them cats on the end of the bench talking about, man, I'm gonna transfer after this, then now you're being a cancer to the team. Okay. There's a time and place for everything. After the season, when you have exhausted and busted your behind for the coach, you got into practice early, stayed late, you taking care of your schoolwork, you haven't been anything negative to the team, you've been the hype man, then that's one thing. After the season, you think about that kind of stuff. After the season, you start exploring those options, not in the season. My 4th new rule is social media. Social media. There's never been a time that you have at your own disposal the opportunity to sell yourself, to market yourself. Beforehand, this was not the case. It was all just hinged upon what somebody else said, a coach said, da-da-da. But now you get to be able to have a little say-so in it. Everything you put on social media, you get to have a say-so in it. So that could be good, that could be bad. It could be good if you're handling your business, you making sure you're putting up things that are going to be assets, positive things for your brand, of you, because we're all brands, right? Of some kind of thing. Like, what are you standing for? It's positive as it relates to that. And being mindful of who's tagging you and stuff as well. That's cool. But it is negative when you're in some bull crap. When you're being tagged in things with things that you know you wouldn't want a coach to see. Those things, right? That's not cool. But again, it's positive. It's positive because now you can market yourself. Now you can put out films to get yourself recruited and things like that. Listen, there is no excuse in 2020 why you don't have film on yourself. Because I see all you jokers on Instagram, you on Snapchat it up, Facebook, this and that, with videos and this. And if you got time to do all this shenanigans on video live streams and all that stuff, then I know you have the capability of having somebody film your games. Whether it be, I've seen people, I've been at games, people use an iPad, film the entire game, right? So you have the ability to market yourself now more than we ever did in the past. In the past, we had to ask coach for the film, or you got somebody that had a camcorder, what they called it back in the day, and that was expensive. So if you just to know someone who had a camcorder was a feat. Getting the tape, getting somebody that's gonna film it, it was a lot more strenuous than it is now. You have no excuse. No excuse. You say, well, Bill, I don't have this. Okay, don't pay for your latest name brand shoes and hats and all that stuff for this year, and save up and get your iPad and invest in yourself and start filming your own games so you have footage to sit out to coaches. 5, another new rule, workouts. There was a time where you had to go to Stack Magazine or Slam Magazine and comb through the articles to see what the pros are doing. So you can see what kind of workouts Kobe's doing, see what kind of workouts Dwayne Wade's doing, see what kind of workouts that Carmelo Anthony's doing. No more. No more. Not to call any of you out, but if you were in my comments asking me some crazy questions about, hey, Bell, how can I shoot better? In 2020, you got a problem, man. You got a problem if you ask me that question. And because there are literally so many articles online, YouTube videos of people doing different exercises, different workouts to be able to shoot better, jump higher, dribble faster, jump faster, all that stuff. There's no excuse. There's no excuse as far as workouts is concerned. People, listen, people are, like anything else, people are addicted to education, but not application. Meaning the education is already online. You can close your eyes and click and figure out that workout. But what happens is people have all this education, but they don't have the application. It's funny because we never got to release this interview because we got into some scheduling problems and whatnot with the NBA trainer that I was going to have on. Luca, very sorry for this if you see this video, but we still haven't been able to nail down the time. But in the interview that I had with him originally, the audio got disrupted. He was talking about a lot of things I'm saying now as far as trainers are great, but there's a number of things you can do before a trainer that you have control over. There's workouts you can get on, you can find out online that you can do yourself. The problem isn't where you can find the workouts. The problem is, are you going to do the workouts? And number 6, the last rule I want you to add and be mindful of is this. You got me. You got Hoop Loudy, Big Brotha Bel, live and direct, live on your set on a weekly basis. Let me tell you something. Trying to be a student athlete is very, very difficult. I can remember a time, and again, let me preface this with what I'm about to say. Let me preface this. I love all my coaches, every one of them. Even the ones I didn't play, the ones that I was on the bench, the ones that I didn't get off the doggone bench unless we were warming up or exiting the floor or coming on the floor. That's the only time. I love those coaches as well because they were able to get to a guy that failed the 6th grade, failed the 8th grade, special education classes, teachers wanted me to be on Ritalin, all this other stuff, but coaches were able to pull out something out of me that I didn't even know I had in me. So I have nothing but great things to say about my coaches. I would never bash any of my coaches, but I want to tell you a quick story about a coach that I had. I had a coach that threatened not to release the players on the team, because when I went to school, you had to be released from your school. You had to be released from the program in order for you to go to a different school that were of the same level, if you will. And I'm not going to get into that story now because I want to get into it in the future and have animation behind it. So I don't want to spoil the story, but I'll say this. The guy was treating us so disfavorably that I had to call the organization under what the school was under the organization that the school belonged to, and ask him. I was like, can he do this? Like, can he not release us? And the lady told me, yeah, he can do that. He can not release you. And I say all that to say this. Back then, I had nobody I could talk to. Back then, it was we didn't know what to believe. Like, no one gave us unbiased opinions about the student-athlete process. No one. We was there to figure it out ourselves. Whereas coaches have been doing this for 2, 3, 4 decades. Us young pups, we've been doing it for a year, 2 years, 3 years. We don't know what we don't know. This channel gives you that. But as far as you being a student athlete and the daily things you're going through as far as being a student athlete, I got you, okay? Now granted, I haven't been through every situation. Granted, I'm not a woman. So if you're a woman and you have a young lady, if you have some questions about things as it relates to being a young lady, and that I can't answer those questions, but I'll do you one better. I interview a lot of these individuals. If you're a young lady, have you seen my Morgan Jones? She went to Northwestern University out of Illinois, Evanston, Illinois, and then she also went to Florida State. That's someone that you can glean something from the interview I did with that person. Brotha Bel, I'm from overseas. I've done 2 interviews with individuals from overseas. Tyler Kepke from Canada played on a national team when he played against Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. I had that interview as well. But I also have Zagornis from Lithuania that I just did here recently. So the things that I haven't gone through, I interview the people that have. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I beg of you to make sure you subscribe, leave some comments of some stuff that you want to see in the future, because this was not, this right here, this was not a thing beforehand. It was not. It was not. So I want to make sure that you hold on to this and help you through this process, because it can feel like you're going uphill against the current, being a student athlete and not being able to glean from some of the wisdom that are people that have gone there and done it before you. So I hope this video was helpful for you. New rules that will help you in a way that you may not know about. A mindset shift, if you will, that will save you a lot of time. And if you feel like I've missed out on some things, let me know in the comments of your own experience, because I know I have college student athletes to check out my videos as well. But as always, whether it's on the court or off, in the classroom or out, graduate at the top of your class. Hoop louding.